morning time at Boy Scout Summer Camp, the beginning of another day of adventure. And nothing gets you into the spirit of adventure like a hike in the woods, except maybe a cool swim in the lake, which is something we're on our way to right now. Swimming is a lot of fun for all scouting programs, but it's not a wet and wild kind of thing. It's a safety thing, and being safe is our #1 priority.
Here.
Safe swimming means practicing safe swim defense. If you're asking yourself why, it's because it works. And as you'll see later, safe swim defense applies to any type of swimming area. Safe swim defense begins with a qualified supervisor, an adult who may or may not be the unit leader. A qualified supervisor accepts the responsibility for the well-being and safety of the boys in his care. A supervisor should be experienced in the water and able to respond to any kind of emergency. So learning the rules of safe swim defense before going on the outing and then reviewing them with your scouts at the water's edge is a great way to start things off right. Next, determine the physical fitness of every scout in your unit. Since swimming places strenuous demands on a boy's body, you must determine each youngster's ability to meet those demands.
Good job. Stretch them out good.
At camp, the medical records of the adult leaders and youth are screened by the camp health officer. The supervisor keeps a photocopy of the health history that is signed by the boy's parents. Armed with this information, the adult can anticipate the potential risks the boy might face in the water.
Thank you.
Next is to know each youngster's swimming ability and which of the 3 ability groups the boys belong in: non-swimmers, beginners, or swimmers. That should be determined by a test given at the beginning of each summer camp. The buddy system is the backbone of swimming safety everywhere. Each boy paired with another of the same swimming ability. A lifeguard gives a buddy call, a single blast on a whistle, followed by a shout for buddies. He or she then counts slowly to 10 while buddies come together and clasp hands.
7, Sunset Strip, 8, 9, 10. How many non-swimmers?
3 non-swimmers.
That's a check. How many beginners?
1 triple.
The lifeguards check all swim areas, count the pairs, and compare the total with the number known to be in the water. If all is well, the lifeguard gives another blast on the whistle, the signal to resume swimming. When a troop prepares for a day hike, an overnight or short-term camp, it must pack all the equipment and materials needed to set up a safe swim area. Remember, in almost any physical activity, accidents can happen, and you have to be ready when they do. That means having first aid supplies and people trained to use them. It also means having someone trained in CPR, preferably an adult. Remember, you have to be prepared for anything.
This is it, guys. Look at this.
Well, we finally arrived at the far side of the lake, about 4 miles from our summer encampment, and the guys are ready to cool off in the water. But they can't go for a fun swim until we set up the 3 safe areas. That means following all the safety protocols. First, we check the lake bottom in the intended swim area to a depth of 5 or 6 feet. That's done by a line of swimmers holding hands. Next, we have a strong swimmer with a solid braided rescue line around his shoulder. Swim out and then look underwater for drop-offs, deep holes, rocks, stumps, and other dangerous things to a depth of 12 feet. A buddy tends the line on shore, just in case. Once the underwater area is determined to be safe, use a boundary line supported with deadwood to mark off and enclose the non-swimmers area to a maximum depth of 3.5 feet. mark the outside corners with some sort of buoy. We used balloons here, but brightly colored flags, plastic jugs, or floats can work just as well. Beyond the non-swimmers area, we mark off and enclose the beginners area to a maximum depth of 7 feet. Swimmers use deep water further out, to a maximum depth of 12 feet. Their outside limits are only marked with buoys tied to a rock anchor. Once the safe areas are set up, we're ready to get wet. 2 strong swimmers, designated as the lifeguard team, are stationed at the water's edge with rescue line ready.
How many non-swimmers?
A lookout is stationed at a vantage point on shore, where he can see and hear everything in all areas. The lookout is usually the adult in charge of the swim.
How many swimmers? 6.
Go swimming! Yeah!
Again, within each ability group, the boys buddy up. Each must have a buddy, a partner, someone to stay close and watch out for him, someone who knows where he is, what he's doing, and what condition he's in at all times. An improvised buddy board is very important here. We use tongue depressors with a boy's name and ability group written in indelible ink. Or, as an alternative, you can simply use a clipboard. Our swim was great because it was safe, and that was no accident. It was the result of simply following the rules of safe swim defense. Rules that work every time, not only for swimming in remote lakes, but wherever there's water. Now here's 2 special cases. First, when swimming in the ocean or the Gulf. Precautions must be taken to avoid the drag of an undertow, the force of crashing breakers, or the sting of jellyfish. And swimming in a river cove has its own dangers. The strong twisting of a whirlpool, the sudden appearance of floating debris, or dangerous reptiles native to the area. Uh-oh, a storm could move in, and fast. If this happens to you, get back to camp before it breaks. Always check out the weather forecast beforehand. It's a major consideration when planning a hike or a swim. Qualified supervision and discipline are the glue that holds safe swim defense together. A qualified supervisor is an adult who may or may not be a unit leader. But a qualified supervisor accepts the responsibility for the well-being and safety of the boys in his care. Discipline means behavior based upon respect for the supervisor and the rules of safety. When boys know and understand the rules, they are more apt to follow the directions of their adult supervisors. And when they follow their directions, they'll come to realize that safety is no accident. As a matter of fact, it's a source of a lot of great fun.